What's up, investors? You're watching the Chain Trends Crypto Podcast. I have a very special guest with me named Wade from DigitHustleNews. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us, Wade. Why don't we just start out with, just introduce yourself to us. Tell us, a little bit about how you got into crypto and, why you started your YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, of course, Wade Teamer, as always. But my story of crypto was quite interesting. And the people that watch my channel know that I don't hold any secrets. I'm an open book. So my initial foray into crypto wasn't the most positive, but there was a beauty about it in the sense that going into it with that negative intention and being forced to learn about the positivity of blockchain, Bitcoin, and crypto altogether, it sent me on a whole nother journey. In a way, discovering crypto kind of saved my life. So I will say that. And it started with just a $60 Bitcoin purchase. Some things were very tight at the time, and I didn't have any disposable money on hand. And then I remembered I bought that Bitcoin, and I was able to take that $60 Bitcoin, which had increased in value, and get some things we needed. And then the ball just kept rolling from there. I started to learn about exchanges, other projects, Ethereum, fell into the XRP rabbit hole. So, and it's just been rolling from there. And I want to say around November of 2019 is when I first proposed the idea to myself. I said, I need to get on YouTube. I'm seeing how much people are going to YouTube for information. I see how much I use YouTube for information. Then I started to look at some statistics. And of course, it's the second largest search engine next to Google. And with the way that entertainment and media is shifting to a digital form, positioning myself on YouTube for the future, I felt was going to be, very beneficial. But I just had to figure out what to talk about, what to do on YouTube. And first it was movie reviews, tried to go that route. Then I tried to do gaming, mobile games. I would play mobile games on my phone and record them, stuff like that. But when I started to look at other crypto YouTubers, and I noticed how they were making videos. And I was like, well, that's not entirely impossible to recreate. So June 13th, 2020, I made my first crypto video. It was actually centered around Akon City and the work that they're doing with Stellar Lumens. And didn't do too well at first, but I was excited. I was doing something that I enjoyed, and that feeling has kept me around. And now a year and a half later, I'm almost up to 3,000 subscribers. And, I'm doing things like this and meeting new people and getting exposed to new technologies and just truly a global network. Yeah. I'm seeing it happen right now.
Yes. It's a good time to be alive, right? It gives me
Absolutely.
it gives me that kind of feeling. Every morning I wake up incredibly excited, and I got into crypto with the Bitcoin Standard. Really, that book was so important to me because it got me not only to into crypto, but I didn't really know what money was. I really didn't at all. I didn't understand.
I agree.
I didn't understand, the nuances of money and how the legacy system even worked. So I'm so grateful for that book to at least get me in the right mindset to lower my time preference and plan for the future, right? And
yes,
and that's really what Bitcoin was. And then it got into some other alts. I'm a Bitcoiner, but I'm not a maximalist in the sense that I don't see value in anything else. I see a lot of value in DAOs, and blockchain, could disrupt a lot of stuff. So that's why I was so excited to do this and get to talk to people like you and some of the people who get to find the founders of some of these projects. So I'm so grateful for this whole space.
That's cool too. That's cool too. I was gonna say though, on the point of learning money, That was another valuable lesson I got from this. I have never been this good with money, but being before YouTube, I was a musician, and one of the biggest obstacles is finances. So I was in a transition period where I was stepping away from the music a bit because I knew that the finances need to be together. So, okay, how do I learn money? It was the aim to learn money first that brought me to the new version of money. So it's been a hell of a trip.
Right. And so one of the things that we discussed that we said we were going to talk about when just for the rec, so that everybody knows when they watch this video, I was researching another project, and I had come across Wade's channel for a project that I was researching, and I reached out to him and said, I think, collaborative stream would be great, and what do you want to talk about? And central bank digital currencies, I think it's an important topic. It's a fascinating topic. And it's a topic that not too many people are really talking about or engaged in. So, I'm happy to tackle that with you. So why don't we start with where you see, well, let's start with where we're at right now, like with the digital yuan or whatever, digital yuan or yuan, and where you see, how you see the digital currency, the digital central banking currencies, how it evolves with the crypto space. Where do you see it going?
Well, judging off of the landscape now, because this morning I read Ukraine has getting involved. They're chosen who they're going to partner up with to do their CBDCs. Nigeria is launching their digital currency October 1st, actually. Korea's getting ready to do the same thing. They're doing it in Brazil, I believe. I think we're getting these central bank digital currencies because of fiat's lack of value. It's how they're going to essentially convert all that fiat into the new digital system. So the reason why I am so interested in CBDCs is because that kind of strengthens our narrative being in the crypto space, because that CBDCs will be the future way that instead of, depositing US dollars or, your native currency, you'll already have CBDCs in an account that 9 times out of 10, you'll receive the same way you would receive government assistance. So CBDCs highlight the fact that we are going to soon be in an economy that is going to be driven off of social interaction, tokenization of assets, real estate, things like fractional ownership. You'll be able to interact with those things using CBDCs. So another reason why I'm so interested is the fact that it's the base layer for the next monetary system. And I think that's why people shy away from the subject, because it's so heavy. It's essentially, it would take attention away from Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, yes, but they always have needed something to be backed against, It's trading BTC to Ethereum is one thing, or, Ethereum to something else. But 9 times out of 10, when people get into the space, they're using their US dollars. That is why you see companies like Circle and Coinbase and Tron, for example, trying to get USDC everywhere.
Right.
They don't want Tether in the space because Tether isn't backed by the fiat monetary system.
Right.
Circle and Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, all of those guys, they know what's coming. That's why. And another one, Facebook Diem. That story behind Diem, I'm really shocked that no one is really talking about it, because that will be, once Facebook Diem is finished, you're talking about almost 2.5 billion people immediately exposed to digital assets, digital currencies, dApps, and everything else that Facebook is going to hit them with, Right. So the story of CBDCs and stable coins is very, very important to focus on, because that is the accent layer to the digital asset economy. Is what I like to call it.
Right, right. And people, you know, it's a subject as well. A lot of people don't like to, or they don't really understand how stable coins work. Stable coins or digital banking currencies are going to work, but they were so important to DeFi and allowing people to a little protection from volatility, right? Because having the option to swap into USDC, you know, on a high spike, you know what I mean, and then, you know, it's a good thing, you know, and I think brought a lot of people into the space. But how do you think? How do you see governments or central banks laying this plan out? Do you think that they'll accumulate an existing stable coin, something like USDC? Do you think that they'll build their own, like using an existing blockchain like Algorand? Or do you think that they'll just make their own currency and blockchain, period? You know, so that's what I'm interested in. I have my theory. What do you think?
Well, I think they're going to use a little bit of all of those things, because I was reading that DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearinghouse, they are the ones who actually run the stock market. They're getting ready to create their own distributed ledger technology and blockchain that is going to launch at the beginning of 2022, Q1. That is coinciding with a lot of these central bank digital currencies coming out, you know, especially with the ones in China. And another thing that I'm seeing coming together is blockchains are being chosen. Like you said, Algorand is being chosen for certain parts of the world. Stellar is being chosen for certain parts of the world. So what I think they're trying to do, and I always relate this time in history, this period that we're in, to a moment in history where paper money was still at its origin. This is a story that I found very interesting when I looked into it. When the US dollar was first created, when they were first trying to get it popularized and used in the United States, there was a dollar for Kentucky, Michigan, New York had a dollar. Depending on which parts of the South you were in, you were either using Confederate money or Texas dollar or something like that, right? The landscape was much like what we're dealing with today. When you look at Paxos, Tether, USDC, Terra USD, a lot of these blockchains are creating their own stable coins because the environment is a lot similar to that. One of these stable coins will be the dominant. The fact that Circle is backed by so many legacy institutions, it seems that USDC coin is going to be the central bank digital currency for the US. You know, it'll be called CBDCs by institutions and the people who are running it, but we'll only know it as USDC and maybe Tether if they decide to keep them around. So I just think we're definitely seeing a transition, especially with ISO 222 very up on, you know, close on the horizon. If you don't know about that, it's essentially we're going from the SWIFT payment network to a brand new payment network that will be built off of certain blockchains, you know. So yeah, it's definitely a global picture being painted out, and I think they're going to use multiple channels in order to make this transition happen. But I'm sure this transition is going to occur.
Right, and I agree with you 100% that there will be CBDCs in the not so far future, I believe as well. The way I see it is, well, there's a couple of things that I'm interested in, and I want to know, and I wonder how they're going to approach it. That if they're going to, so you're assuming, let's assume that they take USDC and now that's going to be the US dollar. So I believe USDC is an algorithmic stable coin. I think they use like a rebase, which means the supply changes to always keep the peg to the dollar. That's how they stay pegged to the dollar, because the supply adjusts based on what's in the pools, right? but
Right.
that would actually be taken out of the equation now because the central bank could actually back the currency itself one for one, right?
Mhm.
Like, because it would then be a backed
Yeah,
asset, a physical asset.
that's why he tried to circle. They released a blog post where they're aiming to become a chartered bank or an official financial institution. And once they get that clarification, they can pump as much money in the circle as they want.
As they want, right? Right.
It'll be used just like the banks used to be used back in the day.
Right. And very
Yeah.
conveniently, like you said, if they wanted to continue the quantitative easing or whatever, the experiment helicopter money, well, there's helicopter money. It's the distribution is much more seamless as well. So
yeah, the airdrops.
Right. Yes. So I certainly see that being on their radar. Do you believe that what do you think that will do to the crypto space? Now, do you think that that's a positive thing for the crypto space or a negative thing for the crypto space?
Now, see, that is something I have been pondering on, because on one aspect, we have a replacement for fiat, which is majority used to purchase cryptocurrencies. But at the same time, if they're able to create their own forms of digital payments, that's going to affect a lot of payment focused projects. So as we go through this transition, I'm going to say it's going to be both good and bad. Good in the sense that people will be able to enter the market faster, but there's going to be a lot of projects to suffer because they can't match the speed or the scalability that some of these stable coins and bigger payment projects might have.
Mm-hmm. Right. And do you have any concerns with, privacy and I guess freedoms? That's like a lot of the Bitcoin maximalist view on CBDCs would be, that's an invasion of privacy and freedom.
It definitely is. I will agree with that. Once this system comes on, the rest of the world will essentially live like China does, where all of our financial transactions are on record, what we're subscribed to, where we go to eat at, all of those things. But at the same time, there's nothing we can really do. Even the Bitcoin maximalists, and this, I'm not attacking you guys, but if you guys aren't willing to, push the agenda for Bitcoin, so that way there's no need for any form of fiat, because at the end of the day, CBDCs, stable coins, they're just another form of fiat currency.
Right.
The problem is the fiat thinking, the fiat monetary system itself.
Right.
So as long as we have a stable coin or a CBDC back to the fiat monetary system, it's always going to be a tug and pull. Right. I was reading an article that stated in order for each Satoshi to be worth $1, Bitcoin would have to be $1 million or $100 million or more. And I'm like, well, at that point, is something like that possible? I guess that would be my question. How do you get Bitcoin to being worth $100 million if it's not, unless it's being used globally as a payment, it's a payment coin.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's what I see forming with this whole El Salvador situation and other countries adopting it for legal tender. The next era of Bitcoin we're going to see is going to be the retail side.
Right.
I think that's the only way to really gather up that last, 2 or 3 million Bitcoin out of the 21 million?
Right. About a little less than 3 million are left. Yeah.
Yeah. So if Walmart comes in the next few months, they need some of that. Amazon's going to need some. It's not a lot of room left.
Right. Yeah. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin's game theory, and other coins have tried to duplicate or mimic the game theory by creating scarcity, right? But creating scarcity while the demand is rising, the supply is restricting. Historically, that's great for price impact, right? Like, so there's only 21 million, and people are flooding in. That's blow off top, and that's why that's another reason to change the pace a little bit to Ethereum. Why EIP 1559 changed a lot for me with Ethereum, because beforehand,
I agree. Yep.
I loved Ethereum as a user, but I still considered it a speculative asset, right? And and possibly even vulnerable to regulators, especially we didn't really know what's the supply, what are the numbers like, all that stuff was kind of esoteric, we don't really know. But now that
good word for that.
Yeah, now that we know that there's a burn, with volume, now Ethereum is suddenly a scarce asset. So that was that changed a lot for me, the way that I viewed Ethereum.
Yeah, I would agree. Once I really understood what the proposal was going to bring, I was like, well, that makes sense, because my biggest thing about Ethereum is that every time it does have a price rally, gas fees get incredibly high, the network locks up, prices come back down. Right. And I'm like, how are we going to break 5K with that issue? Right. But after looking at the roadmap, what 2.0 is going to bring us, the docking, I think we're going into next, and then after that, Q2 of 2022, it's going to pull it all together, and then it'll be fully deflationary. My only question would be, are they going? Is the plan to cap Ethereum at a certain point, or
Yeah, that's that much I don't know. But the fact that there's an unlimited supply that could be burned, that's enough, because in my head, when I project the type of volume that's going to be done on Ethereum, I would imagine that it's going to be a deflationary asset sometime in the future. So,
yeah, especially with a lot of the institutions that are coming into Ethereum, and then Ethereum's already been classified as a utility or a commodity. So a lot of countries recognize Ethereum as a commodity. Right. So I can see something happening in the future with Ethereum, them being the position that they have in finance. That's going to continue. And once that gas fee problem is taken care of and people can really get into DeFi and NFTs and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Don't want to say any numbers, but yeah.
Right. Not to make any price predictions, right? But traditionally, so the supply demand model, right? The supply goes up, the demand goes down. You could do the math. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out, right?
Right.
I wanted to the one last thing I wanted to discuss about CBDCs before we moved on, because I wanted to talk a little bit about gaming and NFTs with you as well. Was, do you think that quantum computing is I know for Bitcoin, the people just say, oh, quantum computing could be a problem, but I found it's really not that big of a deal, because Bitcoin could just switch algorithms at that point, and protect itself. I know that the federal government or the central bank is going to want protection from that. So what do you think a post quantum like quick cryptography standard, do you think that's going to happen soon? Or do you think what's the time frame? That's what I wanted to say before we move on. What is the time frame that you think we're gonna see CBDCs?
That time frame, I think we're gonna see at the end of 2022, it'll start to be commercialized, but by 2023, 2024, we'll be in full swing, and it'll look like two separate payment channels. We'll still have fiat going, but the younger generations are going to be more akin to what a CBDC is, or what USDC is.
Right.
And now, as far as quantum computing goes, that's far-fetched even for me. I've been hearing, though, that projects like Definity, they're trying to incorporate quantum computing on the Bitcoin network. So that may be a few years away. Right now, I'm looking at the Lightning Network in particular, because there's going to be a need for another system for these stable coins to run on, especially if Bitcoin is going to be the catalyst. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was really interesting, and I kind of see it the same way. At some point, I believe that there's going to be a settlement layer, something like Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever you want to hold in your digital wallet, with a transaction layer, which will be some kind of central bank issued fiat currency. That's just what I think, and I'm with you on the time frame. I think around the end of next year, I believe we'll start to see some beta testing, or earlier in the year we'll see beta testing. By the end of next year, we should start to see some rollouts and some implementation. And like you said,
they'll be using. I didn't mean to cut you off, but they'll be using the digital yuan at the Olympics next summer.
Yes.
So that'll be the first sign.
Yes.
That'll be the first signal that we're in CBDC season.
Yes. So. Yes. And I also anticipate that the digital yuan will make like the other European countries to, other central banks are going to have to get involved, because how easy it is to transact with these currencies. It could actually hurt the underlying fiat. So I think they dragged their feet a little bit, and we're about to start seeing some acceleration. So definitely a fun time. I wanted to get your thoughts about the gaming space. The gaming space, particularly the blockchain gaming space, is roaring. Compound annual growth rate through the roof. These amazing things are coming along, like play to earn, the metaverse, all these things, digital land, virtual land, avatars that could work. So much going on. When you think of the blockchain gaming space, what sticks out to you? What are you interested and fascinated by, and where are you at in that world?
Well, I remember watching the gaming industry evolve around, because you remember PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube. Like, you remember that rivalry? Oh man, that was one of the most exciting times to be a gamer, when Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony were really going at it. That's what this kind of feels like now, where there are so many different blockchain projects that are coming up. And I kind of feel a little bit bad, because I'm not as much of a gamer as I used to be. But a lot of these games are like appealing to my inner child, and I want to get back into it. Especially with the RPGs, because, one of my things was Pokemon. I was a big Pokemon player. Every version, all the movies, trading cards, I did all of that. But I'm love how I'm seeing, much like with the industry before, it was the RPGs and the MMOs, the collaborative gameplay that really drove the industry forward. So, and that seems to be the focus with blockchain games, is the co-op features, bringing in, connecting networks, bringing people in. So as far as gaming projects that I'm focused on right now, Gala was one of them. I just did the video for Gala. That one's interesting because they have such a diverse amount of games, and they're real easy to get in and play and earn and, get tokens and things like that. Those, who watch the channel know that I'm an advocate for Pipeflare. This is a smaller platform, but it's more focused at gaming developers as opposed to the players. So Pipeflare will serve to be maybe like a Blizzard Entertainment of the future, or a Bungie Studio, something like that. So Pipeflare's got my interest. Let's see, as far as blockchain, Axie Infinity. Now, I remember early in my channel, I was covering the Atari's interest into the space. And I remember talking about Axie Infinity, like in the beginning. I did not know where it was going to go, and that's one of those stories with blockchain, with technology, period. You got to keep an eye on those things.
Right.
I even made a point in the video that the fact that Axie and Atari were connected coming in was going to do great things for him. But yeah, so I'm watching Atari, Axie Infinity, of course. There was, project called DVK. Now, this one is interesting. It's Devikins. If I think I can share my screen with you.
Let me see. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, screen sharing tips. This won't take long. Those watching at home.
Yeah, no problem at all.
But just wanted to share this white paper that I've been reading through. But this is Devikins. It reminds me of like I said, maybe Dragon Quest, Monster Hunter type deal. And what I like about this specifically would be the story. You know, there's an actual lore, a narrative to just didn't take much, but there's an actual narrative, a lore, a mythology behind it. And I think that's going to be the next stage when it comes to NFTs and gaming as well, because now you're starting to see series appear.
Yes.
You know, based off of different characters. And that was similar to what we saw in the late 90s, where Super Mario game characters were branching off and getting movies and TV shows.
Right.
Sonic would be an example.
Yeah.
He started out as a game character, then branched off into TV shows, merchandise, things like that. We're seeing the same now taking place on the digital form, you know, through NFT features and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just kind of what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I like your thought process on that. That's good. Because I could certainly see that type of connection, that type of trend, right? And it's definitely comparable. You know, like what's the best way to predict, you know, how a market's going to react is to kind of look at previous trends and they
say it never repeats, but it always rhymes.
That's right. That's right. Yes. And, you know, that I could certainly see that happening. I'm particularly fascinated with play to earn. And I think it's very early in that space. I think it's incredibly early in that space because a lot of the games, if you look at, there's still a lot of friction. There's a lot of, you know, you got to get a particular the Wax Cloud wallet and do a transaction with this token and that token. And that's great, you know, but because it's still so early. But when some of that friction is removed, I think play to earn is going to be huge, especially as the gameplay and user interface evolves and becomes more friendly. Man, I think it's going to be, you know, it's going to be huge to be able to earn a passive income playing games. I mean, it's incredible. It's actually being done already today. There's games like DeFi Kingdoms. There's games like Farmer's World. You know, they're just basically swapping axes for wood and, you know, earning a yield on it. And it's pretty it's pretty remarkable. What are your thoughts on play to earn going forward? Do you think that how far away do you think we are from it evolving into, you know, mainstream?
Oh man. Well, next summer.
Yeah.
I know that seems specific, but it can happen that quick because you remember when Android games had first came out, their biggest selling point was pay to play or pay for play systems. You could download the game for free, but in order to advance in the game and progress, you had to buy certain power-ups and stuff like that.
Right.
I think that was a very good example of what blockchain gaming play to earn games are going to become. You know, we're going towards the monetization of economies, and they're going to do that through gaming. It's the perfect place to do it, you know? So I could see play to earn games catching steam very fast because they have such a strong community around them. people like these characters. They love to get behind characters and stories and different factions and stuff like that. That's what pushed Axie Infinity to the point it's at, was the community, in my opinion. So yeah, I think play to earn games are going to happen fast. It's going to come quick. So
I agree.
Especially around the holiday season. I think one of them is going to do very well this holiday season, and that's going to bring even more attention to play to earn games in general. So
I could definitely see that happening pretty fast. And I was wondering too, like when is it appropriate? At what age is it appropriate for kids to start playing? Play to earn.
I've started now.
Have you? Okay, yeah.
I show my children this shirt on a daily basis. I'm like, what is this? What is this? Because this is the future of money.
I agree,
it's the future of money. And the biggest thing that we didn't get, our parents, if we were fortunate enough to have parents in finance or good with money, it was a blessing.
Right.
The majority of us didn't.
Right.
And it was because they just didn't know how it works. We're fortunate enough to know how it works, and we know ways that through video games we can teach it to our kids and give them the advantage, because once they grow up, that's what the world is going to be.
Right.
So I think it's never too early to get them prepared for it. If they can pick up a device and use it,
Good. Yeah, that's smart, because I've been asking myself, like, when, because I got a 9-year-old in the house, and I was wondering, like he plays these video games, right? But when is it appropriate to bring money into it, right? I've been planting those seeds, the crypto seeds, the legacy system seeds, money, the finance. I've been planting those seeds, right? Like in their heads, but as far as like when to take action, that's when I was like, I don't know, is it time yet?
I have you introduced him to Zebedee and their work with Counter-Strike?
No, that's what, and that was the other thing. What is a good game to get a kid into? Like, what's a good onboarding type of game?
That's why I brought that up, because Zebedee, their work they're doing with the Lightning Network and major gaming projects, Zebedee. Yep, Zebedee. I got a couple videos on the channel too where we talk about it, but what they're doing is integrating the Lightning Network in with your favorite game. So there's Fortnite on there, PUBG, Counter-Strike Go, and they've added a few more since then. But I think approaching him with a mainstream title and telling him, hey, you can also earn a little bit while you're playing too, and compete against other people, bragging rights, and we as guys like that, So, but
but that really is incredibly fascinating, because and also what you said about the cycles, right? I think back in my parents they were hardworking people, but paycheck to paycheck, maybe a little better than paycheck to paycheck. Like, it's not like we missed meals or anything. We went on vacations, like down to the Jersey Shore. Like, so I had a good life, right? Like, but we weren't, we didn't have like a stock portfolio in the family, right? We didn't have, bonds. We didn't have, these, we didn't, nobody planned like that to think far ahead, but to break that was a big thing for me. It's like, I want to break that. I want to be the person in my family line that breaks that and spreads those seeds to my nephews, to my children, to learn and understand what money is, to plan for the future and to be, entrepreneurial, I guess, take chances and those kind of things. And that wasn't necessarily, taught to me, but I wanted to be that, at least to be the person that broke that. And I think YouTube and the internet, because I had that option. I had the option to say, wow, look, I found this book and I really like it. And now I want to be an armchair economist. And I did, and I studied, and I did all these things, and I took classes, and I read books, and I learned. But I have the option, right? Maybe in the past they didn't have that option because the access to information wasn't necessarily there. It's there today.
Right.
So yeah, it's not. I guess you're right. It's never too early to get these kids on the path, right? So, and gaming, right, and play to earn gaming is a great way to onboard them into the crypto space and get them familiar with blockchains, right?
Yep. That's exactly the effect that's going to happen. I think that's why Algorand partnered with that drone racing league, because they see the potential. So,
wow, yeah. Are you familiar with there's a project called, I think it's called a D-Race, DERACE. It's basically it's horse racing, but the horse is an NFT, and you could have the NFTs, you could breed the NFTs. You know, you could have a filly and a male horse and a female horse and make a baby horse, and then the baby horse gets characteristics, and then they actually race, and people earn yield. They bet, they earn yield for, like, it's so crazy. And I'm just like, what the is this?
Now that I've never heard of.
Yeah,
that's
people are literally betting on NFT horses, and they're doing these, simulated races around the track. And I'm just like, what is going on,
Hey, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, wild time.
That's an interesting one. Horse betting in the metaverse. That's what it sounds like.
Yes. And what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the metaverse? How do you view the metaverse? In its current state, going forward. What are you paying attention to? What do you?
I'm excited. Like I think I mentioned earlier, Sensorium is my favorite metaverse project right now, because they have ties with Rockefeller, Jay-Z, MGM, Fox. There's a lot coming for Sensorium, but the reason why I like the metaverse so much is because it reminds me of Ready Player One. It's one of my favorite movies, but I've been seeing the digital universe being created with virtual reality, augmented reality, and different apps that have come out over the last few years. And there's a paradigm, a way of thinking that's coming into the consciousness, I feel like, where people are honestly more comfortable with their online identity than their real world identity. And I think that's what's going to be the strongest point for the metaverse, is that there are a large group of people who prefer who they are online to who they are in person. Now, looking at that from a different aspect, maybe medical or personal reasons, that's a different discussion. But the fact is, that group of people is growing. So, and I've even found myself to be, a little bit more comfortable online than in front of someone else who I know doesn't know what these symbols on my shirt mean. So why even go into conversation? So like, I see the metaverse as being that's the end destination with blockchain gaming, NFTs, this whole digital space in general. Like that's gonna be, metaverse projects will probably be all the rage 2024, 2025, as we get ready to close out this decade, because we're gonna have the NFT tech and all the other stuff come in first to get people conditioned for an entire immersive world where you're using an NFT to interact with different merchants and travel to different worlds and stuff like that. There's even a project called Define. It's another one I forgot to bring up, but it's an NFT platform, and they're focused on social. It's a lot like social credit scores, but it's in the metaverse. Whereas you can earn different incentives for certain behavior within the metaverse, and they have it explicitly on the website. You can also get demerits for certain activities within the metaverse. So I'm like, whoa. And this is that's Tron. They're working with Define. So it's a lot, man.
So crazy, right? I know. And then when you started talking about a little bit about I thought of interoperability in different chains as well, and the NFTs being inoperable and being able to, cross chain. Just recently, Gavin Wood wrote a paper about XCM. It was a cross-chain mechanisms, and that's kind of what Polkadot is.
Okay.
So some of these NFT projects and these gaming projects, anyway, I say that to say this, they don't necessarily just depend on their blockchain survival or their blockchain anymore. They could, live on forever on other blockchains. And I think that's also fascinating, especially in the NFT space, like to have CryptoPunks on Solana, let's say, or CryptoPunks on Polkadot. I also think that's a very fascinating topic and subject
to it.
Yeah, and I think that's really why I'm so fascinated by Polkadot in general, is because it really makes me more bullish on the entire crypto space. I don't view it as like an ETH killer or a competition. I view it as
it's kind of like a connector.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a layer zero.
Okay.
It'll bring everything together and make everything inoperable. And I think it's basically like, the internet in dial-up, right? And now we're about to get Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Like, so that would be the difference. So I think right now blockchain and cryptos are in the dial-up phase. But once Polkadot is live, it's basically Wi-Fi. And gaming, NFTs, basically everything, DeFi.
It'll all be able to be connected.
Yes.
Okay. Now, see, I was so curious about Polkadot because, my lady, that's one of her like favorite assets is Polkadot. I think it's the logo and the branding that pulled her in, but I couldn't understand it because it seemed to be very developer focused. And that's still an aspect of it that I'm learning myself. But that was a great explanation. Now I understand the parachains, the relay chains, and the side chains. Yeah. They are going to be the channels in between the channels.
Yes, exactly. And basically so it's like a picture, like a spoke, like a wheel with spokes. So the relay chain is at the center. All the other chains are around. And every time a new block is minted, everything that happened on all of the chains is put on the relay chain. So all the chains are basically working together. So, I mean, it's what could be done and what's possible, endless, so the innovation that's going to come from this, like, is so fascinating and exciting. And before we wrap up, I want to talk about NFTs with you a little bit. What are some of your favorite projects? What do you look for when you're looking at NFTs? Are there any projects coming up that you're focused on or looking at?
Well, as far as NFTs go, actually, yes, I am actually very focused on a project right now. It's very close to my heart because it was created by a former Marvel illustrator, and Marvel was very big to me as a kid. So he's getting into this is the example of the mini series aspect where we create a character and create the NFT around it. That broadens the ecosystem. There's different games and stuff that comes with it. But the next layer to that, TV series. He's aiming to take this concept, not just with NFTs and a game, role-playing game coming, but their overall vision is to make it a mini series. And I think if they're the first to do that, that's going to usher in that next age. They'll definitely be a pioneer. So again, the project is called Sky Gods Chaos Moon. I talk about it a lot on the channel. I'm actually getting ready to do an interview with him in the next couple of weeks. So, looking forward to that. But yes, that's my biggest NFT focus right now because their approach is so vastly different. It's so vastly different. Now, I'm still learning how to make my own NFTs. I've been curious about that, because I definitely want to find a way to take the branding for my channel, logos, any representation of what I'm doing and make it permanent. get permanent ownership, because being a YouTuber, it can be real easy for our branding to be taken, because it's essentially belongs to YouTube, you know, unless we go to a different streaming service. But the other streaming services don't have nearly as the amount of bandwidth and
users
and community. Right. So yeah.
Yeah.
But Sky Gods, look out for Sky Gods, guys.
Where are you at right now? And create, are you an artist? Or I know you mentioned that you did music. What are your NFTs gonna be? I mean, if you don't mind, are you not talking about it yet? Like, how's that work?
Well, I guess I'm learning the creation process first. Now, as far as artistically, you know, my friends have been trying to get me back into the music thing. I'm reluctant because I understand the politics behind it, but I want to get off into fiction. That's another reason why I think I'm so connected with the Sky Gods, is because I want to get off into creating fiction characters and then building worlds and stuff like that. So I think that will be my next career path, if you will.
Awesome.
You know,
yeah. I like it. I like that idea. That's great, man. And all the luck. If any way I could help in any way or whatever, please let me know. You know, appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. And all of Wade's links are in the description. Make sure you guys follow him on Twitter. The link's in the description. Definitely check out his videos. They're very well put together. He takes his research seriously. You know, you could tell he puts his time in. You know, that's obviously I wouldn't have brought you on the channel if I didn't, you know, respect the work. So make sure you guys.
Once again, let me thank you. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I wanted to thank you again for this opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. No, it was my pleasure, man. Yeah, I had a great time. You know, I'm not saying we're gonna get off right this second, but I wanted to just say the links are definitely in the description. Make sure everybody follow Wade. Definitely respect his work. And let's see what else. But before we do sign off, do you have anything that you wanna add? You know, your socials, any kind of Telegram channel, you know, anything that you wanna plug, let me know.
Yeah, I made it simple for everyone. I got a link tree, and you know, if you go to the link down in the description, it'll take you to the channel. But right on the channel homepage, the top right, there's my link tree, and that's got all the exchanges that I use, my social media, my email address. So I compressed all of that into one little neat little package for everybody and make it easier. Awesome. So it's one of the biggest things we have, I think, in the crypto space right now is onboarding new people, getting people that don't understand the power of this space into it. So I guess if I can leave you guys with anything, that's what it would be. We are very, very early on. And when I say very early, I mean planet full of 8.5 billion people and only 125 million globally even know what Bitcoin is. Right. Not crypto or blockchain. Right. They just know what Bitcoin is. Right. Right. There's something very beautiful in that. Very. So, yeah.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah, we're early, and I'm so grateful. So grateful to be. What a time to be alive, like you said.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it, man. What a time to be alive. All right, guys, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Special thanks again to Wade. Make sure you guys check out his channel, check out his Twitter. You know, thank you so much for joining, Wade. Had a great time, and I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe. And remember, this is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors. We just love cryptocurrency. Thank you for watching, guys.